Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morris. Happy to be with you here on this Monday evening coming off the weekend. And we come your way every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here at www.thejourney2020.com. We've been around since July of 2013. And for those who are familiar with the show, you know that it comes with Dr. Robinson. Dr. Robinson is who actually came up with the idea, and we have been working together for years and years and years. And he used to come on my television show back when I was with Orange County. And he said, Charles, I got this idea of something that I want to do. I said, oh, okay. And with what we were already doing, because I was already on the radio from time to time with on WOKB with Marion Edwards, and I would ask him to come on the show because if anybody know Marion, you would know that she would need Dr. Robinson, psychologist, right? But anyway, we used to tease and joke a lot, and so he just said, let's do this show. And so because he moved into the new building and he's extremely busy, he said that I'm going to have to kind of go solo for a while. So I said, oh, okay, well, I can handle that as well. So blessings to Dr. Robinson and all the wonderful things that he's doing here in the Central Florida area. And we want to thank him. For example, last week, 2 weeks ago, he did the National Black AIDS Day. And of course, everybody knows that he does the Recover, Walk, and Run for recovery and for those that are dealing with drug addiction, alcoholism, and a few other things. And so he's been doing that for quite a while. And if you've been following the show this month, you know that I've been trying my best to acknowledge Black History Month. The first week, I went into the archives, and what I aired was a couple of years ago. I was so blessed by Mary Gilliam. She hates when I call her Mary. Everybody calls her Judy, but I call her Mary. And I aired previous interviews that I did with the original, the original Tuskegee Airmen. And I probably interviewed maybe 14 of them. And it was such a joy to talk to them. And I was so blessed to hear their stories. And I asked many questions to all of them. And it was just, I don't even have words to describe what it was like just to sit there and be in their presence, understanding the history and what they went through and all their accomplishments. And then the second week, I interviewed Miss Ida Boston, who husband has ties to a small city on the outskirts of Orlando called Oviedo. And Oviedo is a little small town here in the area. And her husband, great-grandfather, is one of the first doctors there in Oviedo. So she gave us some history on Oviedo and her family. And that was very knowledgeable. And also, last week I had a chance to highlight Victoria Sipling, Commissioner Sipling, and also Jesse Awuji. He is an up-and-coming NASCAR driver, young black gentleman, and NASCAR was giving out a diversity award. And so with the help of Louis Delgado and a gentleman that helped me get in once I got there, because trust me, it wasn't easy. And he also had to help me get out. But Ronnie, who was such a blessing, I had a chance to talk with Ronnie, Jesse, and he's an up-and-coming NASCAR driver, and young gentleman who was in the service, but also played football. But now his dream is to be one of the top NASCAR drivers here in the world. So they was recognizing him with the Diversity Award, and we also spoke with Commissioner Sipling. So this week, we're going to close out Black History Month because I was introduced to someone with a friend of mine, Suzette Morgan, called me. I had featured Suzette on my show a while back as well, in one of her events that we went out and covered, put it up on YouTube as well. And with the phone call, I really didn't know what I was doing, in the sense they said they needed me to videotape something. So I said, oh, okay, well, that's kind of like what I do, no problem. And so when I got there, I found out what it was about. And so I was kind of in a little awe, because I've been around for a while, okay, and know a lot of people. But I had never run into this group of people. Now, there were some people there that I knew, and it was funny because the host of the show, the host of the event knows me as Mr. Orange TV. So I didn't know her, but apparently she used to watch me back when I had my show on Orange TV, and she still addresses me as Mr. Orange TV. So every time she sees me, she's such a joy and a great spirit. She's really fun to talk to. So I'm there, and then all of a sudden I hear about the Pine Hills Seniors. I'm going like, okay, and then I'm there, and there's AARP, and when you get to be my age, you know who AARP is, okay? So, but come to find out, they're one of the sponsors, and we hope to have them on the show too, because of all the things that they're involved in, and we want to give out as much information as we can. So then I met this nice spirit that's so gentle, and through the event itself, I was like, wow, more people need to know about what's going on over in Pine Hills. And so right then and there, when I was there, I said, I gotta find a way to have them on the show. And with that being said, I talked with Miss Belle, and I'm gonna have her introduce her husband, her and herself. How are you? I know that was a long intro to get to you, but how are you? And thank you for taking the time for coming on the Journey 2020. How are you?
You are welcome. I am fine, and it's a joy to be here.
All right.
And so I'll introduce Compton, my husband, Compton Belle.
Compton Belle and Sheila Belle.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, back in November, it was a Thanksgiving. It was a Thanksgiving
celebration.
But first, let's go back. I want to hear about where you from.
Okay.
And how did you end up in Orlando? Let's first, let's go back there.
Let's go way back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm Sheila Belle, and I'm president of the Pine Hills Seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I was from Guyana, South America, northeast coast of South America. And as far as my work experience, I worked in New York. We lived in New York for a number of years. And so when I retired, I relocated to Orlando.
Oh, okay. Where did you meet the lovely lady?
Well, that's a long story.
No, well,
yeah, I'm from Guyana,
okay,
South America, and it so happened that during my elementary school days, I worked in the rice fields instead of going to school.
Okay.
But by the grace of God, I ended up in high school, and there was this pretty, quiet lady, and that's where I saw her.
Okay. And because I'm looking at the smile, so
yeah. So I saw her, during my high school days.
Hold on, wait a minute. No, hold on, wait a minute. What was the first thing he said to you?
The first thing he said, wow. I have to think back. I have to think a long way, because while we were in high school, the kind of high school we went to, and since we did not have a scholarship to the high school, we paid to go to high school, So I was pretty much focused. I know he was there, and, I was pretty much focused on what was going on, because you want to your parents are putting out money, you want to get a good education, you had to take this exam that was set in Oxford and Cambridge, and it's called the General Certificate of Education. And once you pass that, then you can get trained as a nurse or a teacher or join one of the professions. So I think the first thing was way after all of that, I came to Iowa State University. He was at the University of Minnesota.
Whoa, wait a minute. Because, I mean, you got to back up for me.
Okay.
Okay, because you were...
We were students in high school together.
Where?
In Guyana, South
Right. So I'm trying to...
Berbice High School.
No, right. But but see, you're skipping the part how you came to America.
Okay.
Right. So how did you come to America? How did that happen?
I came to America as a student at Iowa State University.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute.
Okay.
Hold on, see, I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
Okay, so you were in high school.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to take me through the process of how you decided to go there and how that happened.
That process.
Okay.
All right. We'll go for the long process. Okay. Finished high school, got my certificate. I knew in terms of funding for college, I would have to work.
Okay.
So I qualified as what they call a teacher, a student teacher type of thing, and you can take other exams later.
Okay.
So I worked as a teacher in the public school system in Guyana, elementary school teacher.
Okay.
Saved up some money, but I always wanted to study dietetics and nutrition. So I saw this application, they were requesting application for teachers who want to be trained as home economic teachers. And so I applied and I went to that interview. And after the interviewer told the receptionist, I want her to wait till I have finished all the interview. I want to talk with her. So the receptionist told me that, I waited. And after the interview, I went up and she closed the book. And she said, this is off the record. I look at your GC, you have math, you have the sciences, you have languages. Why home economics teacher would you want to be trained that way? So I said, well, eventually I want to study dietetics and nutrition. Guyana did not have a university then. So she said, so you take our training and you leave the country. I said, I'll take the training, I'll serve the contract, because once you were trained, you had to serve for 2 years in that capacity.
So when now explain what that means.
Okay, you have to work at the job. Okay. So let's say I've taken the training, then I have to be in charge of a home economics center for 2 years, and then I could leave because that would be a contract. Okay. So I said yes, I'll take the training. I will serve the contract of 2 years, but my goal is to study dietetics and nutrition, and so I will leave. And she looked at me and she smiled. She said, well, you know, and she had just come back from Iowa State U, Ames, Iowa. And she said, well, you know, where have you applied? I said, Guyana was British at the time. So I had applied in England, I was accepted. And I told her where. And she said, well, you know, I've just come back from Iowa State U. The two best schools in America for that would be Cornell and Iowa State. And of course, I'd love for you to go to Iowa State. And that's the first time I heard about Iowa State.
Buckeye.
Yeah, Buckeye, yes.
Yeah, I have family there. I've been there many times.
Beautiful place, you know. Enjoyed being in Ames so sent out the application. I was accepted and set out for Iowa State U.
Okay, and so how did you end up leaving and coming to America?
I was very much on my own.
Okay.
I had no one to depend on. And so after high school, I taught for 1 year. And then I decided I would like to go overseas.
Okay.
But I don't have any money, nobody to help me. So I had some relatives working with the bauxite industry, and they paid very well. So I left teaching and I went up to the bauxite industry. And the first job I got was as a laborer. And you know, coming from teaching to being a laborer, it's like going down.
Step down.
So the country people said, why are you doing that? You know, why don't you come back home? But I knew the plans I had.
Right.
So from that job, I was able to learn to do land surveying, because I was able to move from that department to another department. And then eventually I ended up in the geological department.
Okay.
And while working in the geological department, there were 4 of us young people there. And the boss, he came one day and he said, I'm sending a team to prospect in the interior, which is the bush of Guyana. And I would like at least 2 young fellows to go with these men. And before you know it, my hands were up.
Okay.
And the only one who wanted to go. And by the next morning, I was in the interior. I went in the interior and I slept under hammocks and tents and drink the creek water. And the biggest excitement was snakes. You know, sometimes you come across the great one they call the Bushmaster. He was a very poisonous guy.
Oh.
You know. Anyway.
Wait a minute. You just gonna leave us hanging and you're not gonna give us a snake story? Wait a minute. You carrying the snake and then you're not gonna give us a snake story?
Yeah, you know, Guyana is very famous for yeah, so, you know, by going into the interior, you know, I spent 6 months, and then I come out for 3 weeks, and then I go back for another 6 months. And that's where I accumulated enough money for college to go to State University of Minnesota in Mankato. Yeah.
See, I'm sitting here now. I went to see. I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to school in Maine and I went to school in Boston.
Right.
What was that like being in Minnesota, coming from where you came from? Because Minnesota is cold.
Yes. Yes. Because I used to, there was a calypso at the time. Why did I leave Guyana to come and perish in the winter? You know?
Yeah, I mean, what was your first winter like? What was that like?
Oh, it was very cold.
No. I mean, we knew it was cold.
In fact,
but I mean,
there was a flood.
Okay.
And I was among the students who were helping to put up the sandbags. And, you know, so as to prevent the homes from, you know, being flooded. Right.
But you know, one of the things I remember, because I came up to Iowa State when it was considered to be the spring quarter, okay? And my idea, just reading the textbooks, this is before Google when you can look and see what's going on, was, you know, summer, winter, spring, autumn, you know? And 2 feet of snow. I came up in March, 2 feet of snow, Iowa State campus.
My cousin, who I have ties to in Columbus, left Ohio and lived in California for a long time.
Right.
So she called herself a Cali girl and found herself back in Ohio.
Yeah.
And that's what she always talk about. Oh, I hate it. I'm a Cali girl, because I spent the time in Indy as well as in Ohio and knowing what the winters are like. So I asked you the same question.
Yes.
What was it like for the first winter?
Oh, brutal. Because although it was designated spring quarter and starting, 2 feet of snow. I'd never seen snow. I didn't even have a snow coat as such, you know, a winter coat.
Oh, wow. What?
I'm going to tell you a little story quick.
Okay. See, that's what I've been waiting on right there.
I stayed in the dorm for the fourth semester. So I wasn't well clothed. I didn't have a snowshoe.
Right.
And I was standing up like this. There's a little bank here and the steps were there. And I couldn't move from here to the steps because of the ice. And I stood there and the students were passing to and fro. And no one asked me a word. They all put their heads straight. And,
No. Okay.
Yeah, and a minister was in his kitchen, and he saw me, and he came. He said, "Compton, come, give me your hand." And that's how I was able to move from that spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that's a a big transition
Yeah.
Yes.
to go from one to the other.
Mhm.
Luckily for myself, when I was going to school in Maine, I think what helped was that I had a motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so but people don't know that it gets cold in Florida.
Mhm.
People don't.
Yeah, we just had a.
or people don't honestly, because I was going to school over in Daytona, so that's where that's where I had my motorcycle, and I think that's how God helped me to prepare. I had no idea I was going to go up north at that time,
Mhm.
you know, when I had my motorcycle. But when you're on a motorcycle and you're traveling from Daytona to Jacksonville in the temperature in the 40s, and I used to ride around in the wintertime when it gets cold, and I would have to come home sometime and fill the tub up with warm water and defrost myself for about an hour because
wow.
you're just cold to the bone,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
wow.
and even after an hour later, you still can feel that cold.
Yep.
So when I went up north, it didn't bother me,
Mhm.
except it stayed cold for too long.
No, yes.
I mean, I remember calling home and it was like March, and it probably was like 18 degrees or something like that. And my mom was like, "Boy, my back door open." And at the end of May, I was still wearing a jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just get tired of it, you know, especially coming from Florida.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
It just stay cold way too long.
Yeah, but coming from Guyana,
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize it was that cold because it was in the month of March.
Mhm.
And while I was at Miami in the plane, the gentleman asked me where I was going. I said, I'm going to Minnesota. He said, do you know it's cold there? And that's when I went and bought a little jacket to wear.
Uh-huh.
And I came off the plane in Chicago. And would you believe that?
Same.
So, oh yes.
No, would you believe that coming from Guyana, I didn't feel the cold?
Really?
You know, they said some things you have to learn.
Right.
That was exactly what happened to me.
Right.
Well, I felt it cold.
I didn't feel it at
I
all.
was freezing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you.
Yeah.
So, what was that like leaving your country and coming to America? What was that like? What was that like for the both of you?
For me, it was a prayerful event. I grew up in a Christian home. We learned to trust God, to pray and depend on Him. And I'm the last of 7. And so when I was leaving, in addition to the prayers, my mother said, and the family, my parents, you know, loved education. She said, if I pass away before you graduate, because the whole idea that I was coming for 4 years, I wasn't going home before graduation because we did not have that kind of money. If I pass away, do not return to bury me. Your sisters and brothers, 6 of them down there already, they will take care of it. You finish your education.
Wow.
And so I knew there was a lot of prayer going with me. I knew the Lord. I myself prayed and just came and trusted Him. And thank God I graduated in 3.5 years. Returned home, everybody was there in terms of my parents and my sibling. We celebrated, and then later I returned to America.
Wow.
Well, you know, America is the land of opportunity. And coming to America, for me, it was like a dream come true. And like, you know, Sheila mentioned her mother. My mother brought me to the airport. And the first message I got in a couple of days was that she was dead.
Wow.
So, you know, I ended up in all these great dreams. You know, every night I would be dreaming that someone is walking ahead of me and I'm trying to catch up with them and I can't catch up. So the folks at the school, they asked me if I wanted to go back home to Guyana. And I was wondering in my mind, are you going to pay my passage? but I never did go back.
Wow.
But for me, it was a dream come true, and it was, and this land of opportunity. Once you're willing to work, you can make something of life. In fact, I went to that college, that university, and when I was leaving, the chairman of the department, he sent someone to call me. And a couple of days ago, I was reading the recommendation he gave me. He said, although this man did not ask me, I am giving this man this recommendation. And he mentioned how he was so impressed, you know.
Right.
He's impressed with this man, and this man is going to be a team player and everything else. And I think that's the greatest award I have received in the college.
Now how did you
catch up with each other?
Yeah.
Where did that happen?
Yeah.
Well,
the Lord has a wonderful way of making things happen.
I became the roommate of our relative.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. And so as we were talking, he mentioned that, you know, Sheila was
At Iowa State, right?
was at Iowa State. And did I read you first? Or?
I think that's the first word he said. He wrote.
and the love letter started to roll.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I spoke, my cousin's name is Harry. When I spoke with Harry, he said, oh, you know, some Guyanese are here. Compton Belle. Of course, he says he knows you. And he mentioned a few others. I knew another person, you know, who was in our high school class too. Jarvis, as he was there. And so then we kept in touch.
Oh wow. Wow. And what year did you get married?
69.
1969.
Yes.
In Minnesota.
And we got married in Minnesota because by then I was living in Chicago. I was already a trained dietitian nutritionist working at Cook County Hospital in Chicago. So I went up to Minnesota and we got married.
Wow.
Yeah, and we got married and we had a filled church.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with Caucasians, I was surprised.
Yeah, because they were friends, mainly your friends.
Yeah.
Because only two persons traveled up from Chicago with me.
Okay, so you met what year it was when you met? The first time you guys
The
met?
first time in high school.
It was 1957.
Something, yeah. 55, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so some time went by.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We went our
Yes.
separate ways, and as I said, in terms of high schools, we didn't date in high school. You know, it was you're going there for one reason, and you get what you're going for, and you move on.
Yeah. And you know, growing up in the country, the people around there weren't too educated, but they had lots of common sense. And one of the things that they would tell the little boys is that when you want to get married, you must try to find a wife who is wife material.
I don't think they know what that means today, but yeah. I don't think they really know what that means today. But yeah, okay.
So I knew our mother and parents back home, and I knew her. And so we went our separate ways for a little while, you know, before we were joined back together. So they always say that if something is for you, it's going to always come back. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know that wonderful plan in terms of Jeremiah 29:11. You know, God has this plan for you, and what kind of plan it is. Trying to give you hope in the future, and you know, it just happens according to His plan.
You know, they said the only time you become old is when your dreams become regrets.
Okay.
And I have no regrets.
Neither do I.
Oh, boy, there's a lot of people that want to say that. I hate you. But that's that's a true blessing, you know.
Oh yes, yeah, it is a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
When we count our blessings,
Yeah.
name them one by one.
Right. I started to go somewhere, but I
Yeah.
you know, but that's another show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you two would be perfect for that show.
Oh.
Now I was gonna say something in reference to what one of my best friends said, and what he said in reference to marriage, and when he said what he said, I just looked at him because he's a little bitter.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just leave it like this right
Yeah.
here, and I'll just look into the camera and say it
Right.
Okay.
because it's true.
Yeah.
I was at his wedding the entire time in the back of the room. I can't believe you married this girl. I cannot believe you married this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes to show you in reference to if you're with the right person.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Such a
but
joy.
that is what the show would be about. Being with the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, such a joy.
Yeah.
So how did you end up here together, decide to make Orlando your home?
Well, you know, the journey was from Minnesota to Saranac Lake,
Mm-hmm.
from Saranac Lake
Right.
to Brooklyn,
Brooklyn, New York, then Mount Vernon, New York,
and Mount Vernon, New York.
and once he retired and I retired, then it was Orlando.
Yeah.
I have a brother who lives in Ocoee, so
Oh, okay.
from time to
Yeah.
time, we have come to the area to visit. And I remember my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and we came to that funeral, and we stayed with my niece in Kissimmee. And we were just sitting around. It was around 4th of July. And we were sitting around, and my sister said to me, "Oh, that's the realtor who sold the house to your niece." So I made the mistake of mentioning it to Compton.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Well, talk with her." I said, "About what?"
Yeah.
So I guess we were thinking about retirement then, and so we eventually ended up here.
In what year did you come here?
2007.
Oh, so okay, so you haven't been here that long.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now tell me, how did you find the Pine Hill Seniors then? So how did that happen?
Okay. So we're here 2007. We read the Pine Hills Press. I don't know if you've seen that little paper.
No, I haven't.
Oh, then we have to get you one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You must know the Pine Hills Press. Very powerful.
Okay.
Covers Pine Hills a lot. Positive information is in there. And we saw there is a senior program at the Pine Hills Community Center. In addition to that, we are members of the Holy Family Episcopal Church right here in Pine Hills. It's in 1010 North Hiawassee.
Okay.
And we were praying, at the church for increased outreach efforts in Pine Hills.
Mm.
So together with those bits of information, we set out one day to find the community center and find the senior program. When we got there, we met Mr. Eddie Brown, and he was the manager of the center at the time. And he said, well, regretfully, there's no senior program there, but he's willing to have one in the center. There was a big but. There was no funding. Okay, so we took that bit of information, got together with my brother Oliver Batson, and we got 4 other seniors in the area and told them what the situation was. And 2 of them had come from the Northeast, 2 were living in the Pine Hills area for a long time. And so we started out with what we call the Pine Hills Planning Committee, 7 people, planning committee.
Mm-hmm.
After some planning, we realized that we were ready to let the public know that we're there. And back again to Mr. Eddie Brown, who is part of the Division of Community Action.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to have a health fair, and that was by 2008. And we had this wonderful health fair, draw the community in terms of the services that were offered there, but also letting them know that a group now exists for seniors, and it's Pine Hills Planning Committee.
Okay.
And what that reminds me of, every Thursday when we met, Compton would put out this
Yep.
big board
A
by
sign.
the gate, a sign by the gate, and it says free senior program today. 10 to 1. Diligently, that was our big poster out there. So if you're coming into the center for any service and you're a senior, you know something is going on in building B. And so gradually that started to build. So after a few years, we figured we're beyond the planning committee, the program was growing, and we called ourselves Pine Hills Seniors Coming Together. So, and we came together for a few years. But wonderfully, by 2015, you know, we had grown so large, more than 60 members, still no designated funding from any government source or such.
Okay.
And we went to Commissioner Cyprian. And but even prior to that, when Commissioner Tiffany Moore Russell was there, we went to her office very often. For example, we had a small household coffee pot, and you had to fill that several times to serve the group. And we said, look, you know, this is what we have to do. And she said, well, as such, there isn't funding from that source, but she'll make sure that we get a donation of a large coffee pot, which she did. And we're very thankful for that.
Okay.
So, so as we grew, and we needed to talk to another commissioner, by then it was Commissioner Victoria Cyprian, and we went, we showed her our progress, what we had done. She asked for, you know, various reports. We were able to show her that. And she said, you need to get incorporated and you have to become a 501c3 to move from where you are,
right,
to permit this growth. And we agreed. And here again we said, well, no funding. We don't have that. Because the members, we asked them to give $2 per month. And it's not something that we keep track of to say if you didn't put your $2, you shouldn't come.
right.
Because one of the things that seniors go through, there's major isolation, especially if you have relocated and your family members are somewhere else. If you're a church member, you go to church on Sunday. Maybe you go to Bible study if you have it on Wednesday. But what happens the rest of days? And when there's major isolation, your health suffers. There's physical health, mental health, emotional health. And so we felt the need to just continue this program under whatever circumstances. And so we were blessed in that way that Commissioner recommended us to a CPA who was able to help us with the papers. And so we had to pay for the registration, you know, for the nonprofit part.
Okay.
Yes, and that was a blessing. And we thank him, we thank her.
And you happen to be from Guyana,
Right.
so he treated us pretty good. Yeah.
So now, the group, the Pine Hill Seniors.
Yes, sir.
How often do you meet?
We meet every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Pine Hills Community Center, 6408 Jennings Road, in Building B, as in boy.
Okay. Now, what is really the mission statement? What would you say is really your primary goal and why you do what you do?
Okay. Our mission is, you know, first we have a vision of having seniors there so that, you know, they can stay active, stay involved, stay independent. And the mission is for them to live healthy, active lives. And our motto is, we share because we care. What we find with the seniors, and at this point we have come in terms of place of birth, we have come from 8 different areas. We have seniors who originally place of birth, Jamaica, Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Panama, and so on. And coming together, you know, builds the community. One of the things many seniors have said that, you know, drew them, especially when they came the first time. We do open all our sessions with prayer. And we have varied activities. Those who are interested in learning to use the computer, we have Miss Suzette, who is not only a wonderful instructor, but her patience and her concern and caring for seniors makes it a loving environment for them to learn. I know many seniors would say, we know we can go to the library, we know we can go to another place to learn this, but we want to be here to learn that. And you know, that helps us. In addition to that, we have speakers coming in on various topics. Sometimes it had to do with health. For example, about 2 weeks ago, we had a group of professionals from Florida Hospital under eye care. We had a social worker, a nurse practitioner, pharmacist, and they were not just interested in lecturing to the seniors. They wanted us to, each of us had note cards. Whatever question you have, maybe you didn't have a chance to ask your doctor the last time you were there, or maybe you asked, but the question was not fully answered because the medical practitioner was very busy. You write that down, and they took the time to answer all the questions that were asked that day. That was education at its height and caring.
How did you get the AARP involved?
Okay, AARP heard about us, and Jerome and Marie, who are the local reps, they heard about us as well as Mimi Ragatine, who is in charge of the Office on Aging. We have been in touch with her, and she has been extremely helpful and caring and concerned about seniors. And so she kept saying to me, you must get in touch with Jerome. So I did call him, and he and Maria were able to come to one of our local meetings. And after they saw what we did, how we did it, and how long we have been doing it, they said, well, okay, you know, we have to tell Abby, we have to tell Dion, you know, it was a telling, we have to tell up the line. I said, fine. So after that, another time, they invited Abby and Dion and Mr. Raul Anderson, who is the executive director. And so 2017, that group of officials or officers from AARP, they were coming down to the International Dry Corn event. But while they were here in Orlando, they definitely wanted to meet with Pine Hill seniors. And that was July, we were off July and August. And so Abby and I, who is a AARP representative as well, we had a difficult time getting a date because I said seniors are gone, some of them entertaining relatives or they're out of the state. But fortunately, the Community Action Program had a health fair July 20th. And once we got July 20th and I shared that with Abby, she found out that their schedule could accommodate July 20th. And so they came down to meet us, and I asked all the seniors who were still in town, come by, let's meet with AARP. Okay. And they were so impressed when they looked at our program and looked at the way seniors were responding. They said, you have already created a livable community, you know, and we want to do something special for this group. And offered to do that recognition luncheon that you were able to videotape for us.
Now the Thanksgiving, I actually was going to show some of the highlights from that, but between the Thanksgiving and the Black History, right now, who come up with those ideas and
okay,
right there?
Thanksgiving normally, and this is very interesting about seniors. We have talents. We have retired from whatever that profession or job was. But now you have time, and maybe some of the talents that you weren't able to display or use while you were busy working, raising the children, building, you know, a nest egg and so on. Now you have the time and the opportunity to do it. And so Pine Hill Seniors provides that. So we have a planning committee. And once we're going to have an event, for example, we're having a Thanksgiving celebration. Okay, what should our program look like? Okay, so one person says, well, you know, I would like to do this, I would like to sing, I would like to do a poem, and you know, that's the way it goes.
That's what's playing now, so they're singing.
Oh.
So you can go ahead and
okay, so you know, so that's how the program is built. So the Thanksgiving celebration that you saw at the Majestic, That's our usual Thanksgiving celebration. It was just a larger venue because ARP was willing and ready to accommodate that. We knew that we couldn't hold it at the Pine Hills Community Center because 230 plus seniors attended that event.
Right. Oh yeah. The place was full.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And here we see the men singing.
Yes. The Sensations. Sensations.
Yeah,
And Compton is a member of the Sensations, right?
Yeah.
And then the ladies, they're the Daffodils.
Right.
Right. And then let me see if I think you're giving someone an award or something.
Oh yes,
You get an award.
I was receiving that award from ARP. It's the Community Leadership Award.
Oh, there's the ladies right there singing.
Yes, the Daffodils, right, that's correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they presented, and as I've told the Pine Hill seniors, an award may have my name on it, but it is our award, because a leader cannot lead without followers. In addition to that, they all contribute to what we are today and will continue to contribute, and they're enjoying themselves. And you know, we just give glory to God and thank Him.
Well, now, I originally, my plan, which actually I don't have time, we don't have time now, but you can talk about it and I'll just kind of show the video as you talk. But, and I'll actually roll it, but here you can kind of explain what's going on, because each one came up and they kind of gave, right. So
okay, they represent, that is America.
Right.
They represented their country.
Okay.
And with this particular group, they did that beautiful poem with Maya Angelou, I Rise, and again I Rise. So that's America. And then another group will come up, and that Barbados came up, and they did presentation, you know, of their country, and sometimes it's the national anthem or a favorite song. Grenada came up, and I know he did a beautiful, because we just have one Grenadan.
Right.
He did a beautiful poem and a joke. And then Guyana also came up, and we did one of
yeah, you can tell what they're doing.
the flags,
I Rise.
Exactly, I Rise.
But,
yes. Yes.
No.
So as the various countries come up, they do something representative of their country, give you a little history of the country, and also show you the flag of the country. So.
Yeah, that was very educational, because what they did was they gave a little history and said something that, like for an example, I did not know that. She said if you spoke French, but then if you spoke but if you spoke Creole, it was a way that you tried to communicate.
Exactly.
Right. And I was like, oh, now it's starting to make sense.
It makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
Because you know, when we talk about Africa, and we all have that background from way back. You hear about the drums and so on, and nobody understood the drums except the clan. And so the patois, as she mentioned, the Creole, Creole for her it's Creole. The Creole, as she mentioned in Haiti, that's how it was developed. Yes. In some other countries we call it patois, you know.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. And one of the and I call it cute or funny was when I forgot who it was, but she was talking about the rum. Remember the rum that she was talking about? She bathed her daughter in it.
Right. Oh yes.
So she was saying it's not only for drinking, but
right. And then cancer, and she got healed and whole. Yes. I think she was from Jamaica. I know it is.
Right. Yeah. She was saying that her
the
daughter.
white rum.
Her daughter was very sick and ill, but then she bathed her down in the rum. And she said,
and the heat, you know, just healed her. Yes, I remember.
But that was very educational, because each country came up and gave us some history and informed us on things that, you know, we probably didn't know.
No, it wouldn't be in the textbook, and you know, and these are people who have lived it. We've lived it in whatever country, and you know, you share it. And you know, that's part of the joy of being where we are and growing so fast because other seniors in the area hear about us and they just come. One thing that saddened us on that day, that the hall was so full that we had to reject seniors just from the door.
I know, yes,
we had to turn seniors away.
Right, because I went outside and I heard somebody, and I was like, right,
We felt sad about that because it was a time for celebration, enjoying each other, learning about each other. But we must maintain, you know, the capacity level. There are restrictions and.
You know, one quick thing about the senior group. We also have a community garden there.
That's right.
Where we produce fresh vegetables and share among members and among other people. And I always say to them, the philosophy of the garden is head in the sun, hands in the soil, and the heart in nature.
Wise man.
Yeah, and that garden also, there are 2 beds there that Head Start students and teachers use. And it's such a joy to see this intergenerational activity. They are planting or reaping, and seniors are also there doing the same. And
well, one of the things that I do want to say is that the food is good there too.
Yes, we had international fair, representative of your country.
And I have a friend from Jamaica. He's actually my mechanic, and we've been friends for years. And he and his wife makes the rum cake.
Oh, yes.
But it's called something else though. It's called
black cake. Sometimes they call it black cake.
And
Christmas cake.
Yeah. Well, she makes it every Christmas.
Yes.
And then she talks
wedding
about
cake because it's the same type of cake.
Because it takes such a long time to do this, and
the fruit and soaking it.
And so that's kind of like a big thing because I look forward to that every year. And so when I go and I say, enjoy making the cake.
Cake this year.
Yeah, she started a few weeks ago. You on the list.
Yes, that's right. It's part of the celebration.
Right, and so somebody had made some rum cake there.
Yes.
So I cut out.
Oh yes, there was.
Right. So I took out a piece, and I brought it home.
Yeah, you have to savor it.
Yeah.
Know all about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I had a girlfriend from Jamaica, and she made to this day. She made the best oxtails.
Oh yes.
I mean, I don't know anybody oxtails like hers.
Oh, right.
And I said to her one day, I said, you gonna make some oxtails? And she looked at me and she was like, do you know how long this takes? Me, I'm just used to going and dipping into the pot, right? And she said, do you know how long this takes to do this? And I'm like, to me, I was like, I don't care. You just need to cook the oxtails.
I enjoy it.
You're right, Yeah. But it's good, and to this day, I mean, I eat at Lady D's and a few other places.
Caribbean.
You're right, and just so happened there's another girl that I dated, and her mother, they were from Jamaica. And so her mother would cook dinner for me every Sunday. So I got to eat and it was funny because, I'm trying to think what it's called. Oh, yams.
Oh, yeah.
It's white.
Yes.
It's white because when you say yams,
you think of the yellow one,
you're right.
Carrots, but not the white one. We know it.
So she said, we're gonna cook some yams. So I'm looking for. Sweet potato yams. I was like, oh, okay. And then is it the swordfish?
Okay, swordfish.
Right, the swordfish. And then she was always talking about, well, what is it with you Americans and these collard greens? What is it with these collard greens? But the mother made a different kind of green.
Greens, right.
Right. And so,
Probably spinach, right? Spinach or something they call by
right.
Softer.
Yeah, and so I used to look forward to that because that was, like on Sunday, that was like kind of going home to mom.
Oh, yes. Big Sunday dinner here.
Right. So what's next for the senior citizens? What's next for the Pioneer Senior Citizens?
Since you must find out, our speaker, Donna Jin, she was the ARP keynote speaker at the Thanksgiving. She said she was so pleasantly surprised about the group in terms of where they started and what they were able to achieve. And she said, you have this group like a garden and you tended it with love and compassion, and you care for each other, and you have a beautiful story. And that was the Thursday. That Saturday morning, and we have to tell the story, I woke up, and the Holy Spirit said to me, you have to tell the beautiful story. So the Thursday I went back to the group, and I recounted Miss Jin's speech, and I say, we have a story to tell. We have to tell the story. We have to write the story. How many people are willing to put down their names to make a contribution to writing this story? We have about 28.
Wow.
And so we've started writing that story. We were able to give our first draft of the story to Miss Suzette. Yes, okay. Because she will be the person guiding us through that process. And, it's such a delightful story when you find out what that group means to people, to seniors in particular. It's just adorable, it's loving, it's caring, and seniors feel the warmth, although they come even if it's the first day. They feel they belong to that family called Pine Hill Seniors.
It's about community.
Yeah.
It's about the promise of the hope.
Oh, yes.
And courage. Yeah. And healing.
Yeah. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It's nurturing all of us. And I thank God for that.
Now, if people want to find out more about Pine Hill
Seniors, we do have a website, www.pinehillseniors.org. They can also reach us through the email pinehillseniors@gmail.com. The Pine Hills Press, if it's in their neighborhood, they can pick that up. We're always in the Pine Hills Press on page 4, and that gives you the schedule for 2 months. And then later, if we had a special activity, like when we had the Black History, there would be a little article in the press itself about the event that just took place.
What's your next special event
in
coming
May.
up? In May?
May. We haven't identified a date in May, but May is Senior Citizen Month.
Oh, okay.
And so we know we are going to do a celebration then. ARP is going to be on it with the rest of us, because ARP has 2 major things they're working on at this point. One, disrupt aging. There's this old thought about aging and older people, that older people are burdens. Older people are contributors. They have the time, they have the talent, they have experience, and there are rich possibilities that they can bring to any community. The other thing in terms of the ARP focus is making wherever you live a livable community, which means paying attention to open spaces, paying attention to transportation and doing something about it, and housing. And so those are 2 main items they're working on, and we are working on it with them. Because in May sometime, I think sometime in May, we will also do a workshop on disrupt aging. So we're casting aside, that was the old thought, whether it's the dress is too short or at your age, who decides that for you? Right. And when we look at biblical history, we know the ages of the different people, Abraham and others, who achieved great things in their older years. So what's the big difference with us living now? Right. Another thing I find we're very conscious in terms of as we grow older, we are getting closer to the time that we reach for it or will leave for another world. And so the time you have now and the talent we have now, we want to use it to benefit society, to make it more livable. We want to interact with the little children in Head Start, with the older children, in our cases at Evans High School or along the way. We want to be mentors, and we have the ability to do that.
You're saying that we want to disrupt aging by growing bolder.
Right.
This way we don't sit down because of a little pain or something like that. Always strive to do better.
Yeah, and one of the keys, and I don't think that churches do enough of it, is to teach us how to eat healthy and how important that it is, and that's a very important part of our biblical teaching. And I don't think churches do, focus enough on. I mean, they do, but not enough, because that's the key, especially things that's been handed down to us that that's just not good. And it's been proven, and it's a fact that our diet plays a major part in our health.
Yes.
And why we have so many problems, especially when we get older.
Right. Well, March is National Nutrition Month, and we will have a nutritionist, present on that topic. In addition to that, on our board of directors, we have Glenn Providence, and he is an administrator in terms of finances for Ebony Nutrition Consultants.
Well, I was going to ask you if you
knew,
yes. I was going to ask you if you knew Ronice.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I've been knowing Ronice for years.
I have known her for years, since New York, because I've been in nutrition. I practiced nutrition.
Well, it's funny when you say that. That's the first thing popped in my mind when you say that at the beginning of the show. And I was like, I wonder if she knows pretty good.
Oh, yes. And so when we met for national, first it was the American Dietetic Association that was national. Now it's named the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So when we met in different states, over the years, every year there was an annual meeting. So I used to meet Al Fabiola and Ronice and Ellie Rita Carson.
Do you know her sister?
Yes, her sister too. As a matter of fact, this last October, because Compton studied nutrition too after he was finished, with all the business. And the Academy celebrated this was its centennial year, last year. So we met in Chicago. And I met Ronice's sister again. Rogine, right. And outside of that, the huge academy meeting, we have a smaller group called NOBIDAN. And it's National Organization of Blacks in Nutrition and Dietetics. And so we're members of that smaller group too. So we had a separate celebration. It was the 50th year, and they honored one of the co-founders of that group. And a book came out of that, as a matter of fact. We'll show you the book sometime. That, many nutritionists who were trailblazers, in the early days, and it was not easy.
Because see, Ronice and Rogine, Fabio, they are great cooks.
Yes. yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
They are great cooks.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right. I used to help her a lot back when she used to do Sisters Take Charge of Your Health.
Yes, I've gone to, because we had just come to Orlando, so I went to one of their sessions, and then when I first came, I was consultant to their group in terms of their programs at various schools, and so I used to do some of those presentations.
Yeah, I was talking to her actually at your event of trying to bring back Sisters Take Charge of Your Health. I was like, that's too much work. That's too much work. That's too much work. Because it was such a great event, So, but I just want to thank you so much, because you helped me complete my Black History Month. I felt like I've done my duty. Seriously, you educated me. People are knowing about the blessing that you are, and there's nothing more important than our senior citizens.
Oh yes.
So it's good that you're doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, and I love the story from got into to the cold and that whole story, how you met and how God worked that out, and you know, so it's amazing. So
it's unbelievable that after 25 years at NBC, I went and studied nutrition.
Right. He's retired from NBC. And I said, well, what? And I was still working, I was retired.
So what did you do at NBC?
Well, I work in different areas. We had, I work in some financial areas, some marketing, some PR, then, and sports.
Okay, because see, I've been in radio and television all my life.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. I worked at Channel 6, Channel 2, Channel 35, and so so television and radio has been what I've been doing. I mean, that's what I went to college for.
Yeah. Oh, is that so?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I went at first, I was in what they call clearance. Where we check on the stations that were taking the show and provide them with information in terms of the commercials. And we used to write out the lead-in for the people doing the shows. What time? Now it's more mechanized. In terms of the commercial. At one time,
well, everything is so different. Cost of cable changed everything. Now the internet has changed that, so it's totally different.
Exactly.
Right.
No, in fact, I was there when cable just started to come in.
Right.
And another gentleman and myself, we wrote an essay about cable. And we thought it was going to be a fad.
Oh my goodness!
We thought it was they're going to die out.
Wow! Yeah, I couldn't imagine that. You mean more channels and more people? I mean, more channels and more channels.
Yeah, because you had the three guys in Fox.
Big ones.
Well, yeah.
And then,
well, see, and actually, I used to work at Channel 35, and right when I was leaving was when they was turning into Fox.
Yeah.
But they just used to be an independent station. And the funny thing about that whole time when we was there at Channel 35, we used to beg them, like, when are you guys going to get more in the news? Yeah, it's coming, and they paid no attention. They had a guy that would come in and do a little 5-minute segment on news, and that would be it. And so we'd be like, you need news. But now, look at it,
Exactly.
Yep. When Fox came in, we had a meeting. So I told the folks, I said, you have to watch your stations, because Fox is coming in, they have to get affiliates. And so said, so done. Before you know it, Fox was getting affiliates from ABC and CBS and all they like.
Yeah, because my cousin who she retired, but she used to be at I can't think of the call letters, out of Philly, which used to be CBS, but they're now in NBC. And that's interesting how they switch.
And one of those stations didn't work too much about cable. One of them is really behind now. I can't remember if it's ABC or CBS.
Right.
But NBC really got into cable.
Well, I want to thank the both of you.
Well, thank you. It has been a new experience and enjoyable.
But no, I mean, it's just, you're such an inspiration, and I just want to thank the both of you for taking the time out to come on the show and bless us. And like I said, I've learned I learned a lot, but I also finished up my Black History Month, so I'm good. I'm good. And so whenever you want to come back, if you ever got something going on, or if you ever want me to do a promo for you for something that's coming up, just call me, let me know. We can put it out there on Facebook, we can put it on YouTube, we can put it on Twitter, we can put it on Periscope, we can put it on Instagram, we can put it on Snapchat.
You can put on more things than I can get to, because I still have to learn some of that stuff. The Pine Hill Senior Center, you guys got to get you a Snapchat account. Listen, we're all volunteers in this point, and it's getting very heavy.
It would be like, so you got to get on Twitter, Snapchat, you got to get on Periscope. You know, you got to get your Facebook going and all of that. So yeah.
We're thankful for our person, Ona Taylor, who did the website, you know, and she had that experience. You know, she used to work for AT&T before she retired, and technology is her bit, and you know, because we had the material there, but in terms of branding it and doing, you know, some other things, didn't know how, and was busy just running the program.
Yes, so this was a great experience.
Yes, you know, and the YouTube that you have already done for us, you know, is.
You know, the first time I went on when the radio was in Minnesota.
Okay.
You know? And quite a few people came in, and they mentioned that they heard me on the radio. And, you know, I just came from Guyana.
Yes.
Okay.
You know?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, because one of the things I found on Iowa State campus, and I guess yours did the same, foreign students, they on the radio. I remember there was this older lady who was, you know, in charge of that. And you come in as a foreign student, she wants to interview you. She said, well, you know, it's an education to the public of Ames. And her name was Martha. I forgot the last name. And she said the most difficult thing foreign students find to do with me. I tell them, call me Martha, not Mrs. So-and-so. And, you know, we grew up, and this is an older adult, you know, you Mr. or Mrs., you know, you just don't call somebody by it. So I want you to practice. Martha, Martha, Martha. Then she starts interviewing.
And you know, the Midwest is a good example of what I think it was Franklin Frazier, when he said one of the best things that can happen to you is to be a minority and you come from a foreign land, to America, you know, how the people are so nice to you. And in Minnesota it was just that. You know, the people were so beautiful, they'll come and pick you up
helpful
on Sunday.
when it's quarter break. I found that very helpful. Instead of, because I wasn't going home for 4 years, and so were you and many of the foreign students. So they would send an invitation to the foreign students advisor and say if any student would like to come and spend, if it's a week you're off, you know, whatever time with them, I'll pick them up, I'll bring them back, and you know, he would send it to us. You choose who you want to go with or if you don't want to go. And,
like one Thanksgiving I had.
Okay, quick question. This is
one Thanksgiving I had 2 invitations and my roommate didn't have any.
Okay.
So I told the person who invited me that I'm going to go some other place and then I'll bring my friend. She said, you mean to tell me you're going to be having 2 Thanksgiving dinners? When you live alone, you know, you can take 4 of them.
Trust me.
You had the experience?
No, I remember having 3 or 4 Thanksgiving dinners. So, you know, you go from house to house to house. But when you're 16 and 17, you could do that then. You know, now I can't do that.
Put it away safely.
But I wanted to ask you, have you heard, have anyone in the group have seen the movie Black Panther?
We had such a busy class.
No.
Yes.
I want to ask you, and I'm going to let you finish, but what did you think that they tried to incorporate in that, in addition to it being the movie? What did you see?
What did they try to incorporate?
When it comes to people of color,
I saw a lot of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of, how should I put it? Assertiveness. For example, the female group there, in terms of being in charge of that specific entity, protector or whoever they were, you know, for the king, and they had their say. I saw that. They, of course, the costumes and so on, you know, those were outstanding as well. What else do you see?
Well, I see maybe people being courageous. I see uniqueness.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm asking you this because I'm from America. I'm asking you because of where you're from. This is why I'm asking the questions, why I brought it up. And I was just telling France earlier today that I think when they tried to do this movie, to me, I think they tried to keep the part of, what's the word I'm trying to say? When you think of Africa, you think of the tribes, and
Right.
you think of not being modern. You think that
Right.
you know. But what I think they tried to do in the movie was to show that that tribe is there, but the world and its technology is there, and but yet you still have this image of the people of color still being what we perceive the world to be.
Okay.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? But the advanced technology
Brought it forward.
is there too.
Right.
But it's not in the sense of how you would see it in America.
No.
But you still see the tribes being who they are.
Right.
And I may be perceiving that wrong.
No, I think you're perceiving it right, but what that reminds me of, as a elementary school child in Guyana, South America, Guyana was British at the time. Ever so often our principal will come and say, okay, there's a British Council film showing at the Globe Theatre, which is like 4 miles away. If your parents would let you go, because they have to finance the bus, you can go home and go to that movie. And whenever I saw the African in those movies, they're here, you know, and whatever, and they're jumping and they're screaming. You saw the tribal aspect. When I got on campus and met some Africans, Nigeria, Liberia, just name it, these are Africans too. But in any of those films I saw in childhood, didn't represent them that way, that some of them are educated, and that's why they ended up at the university. They got scholarships to come out. And so I saw a different African I met on campus, and one was my roommate even, you know, the last year. And so in terms of media and technology, people show what they want you to show or what they want to emphasize. So what you're saying reminded me of that.
Right. And so that's what I thought that was very important in the movie, that whoever produced it, I think that was one of the ideas. Because, and I'll just show something as simple, like when the when the white gentleman tried to speak, and he told him, and he was barking at him, you know, but he still had, but you knew still that this man was who he was, but he was still within himself, and you can judge him, and you can be ignorant is what we do, but still, if you understood, you respected all of that.
Exactly. And you can see by the costumes. And the weapons that they used. It was pretty much tribal.
Right. Okay, well, I just wanted to get some feedback from you.
Because like last, it was Thursday. It was Thursday, because you know Casman Flowers. Okay, her husband gave the keynote speech at our Black History. She was sitting there in blue.
I remember when she stood up.
She's an evangelist now. As I said, she's an ordained minister. So what she did last Thursday, she gave this great entertainment called Back to Motown, and invited, you know, all the senior groups in the Orlando area. So we didn't have a program last Thursday. I told our group, you know, those who want to go will go over there. Those who want to take the day off.
Was that sponsored by Ings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I just threw
the flyer or something.
I had earlier there.
Yeah, because her pictures there.
It was on the 22nd. I saw it on the 22nd.
Yes. The 2 pictures were there on that ad, and it was gorgeous. You had people representing the Supremes, did a great job, Mr. Bojangles, it just went on and on in terms of entertainment, and we did have a meal as well. But why did I bring up her name? So we went to that, and we were looking at her schedule. Every day it was more than one thing to go to, and we said, okay, we have to be able to fit in the movie that day. So we went from there to the movie, because other than that, you know, we're not looking at.
Let me tell you this last story quick.
He's filled with stories.
You know, in Guyana, we didn't have much of a history or things to look back on because we were controlled by the British.
British.
Yeah. Would you believe that there were some intellectuals in the capital of that country who took a gentleman and dressed that man up like an African,
Directly from Africa.
and dressing up like an African
King
or something?
yeah, King Ezzy.
King Ezzy.
Right.
Okay.
And had him touring
The country. King Ezzy is here. And that year, many of the children, male children who were born, were called Ezzy something or whatever. Years later, we found
They did that to motivate us because we didn't have anything else.
I remember I lived in the country, and I remember my sister and I, we went, it was at this big congregational church. King Ezzy is going to be there today. Church packed to overflowing. You want to see this king from Africa. Because we hadn't seen anybody from Africa. You don't know anybody. Years later, we found that the whole thing was a hoax.
The whole thing was a
But
fraud.
here I went to South Africa.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting the ignorance of people and how they perceive you?
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just like we're just people just like you. We're no different, but
Yeah.
somehow or another, whatever that is,
Is
it's
right.
just it's amazing sometimes.
Yeah.
You know. But again, I want to thank the both of you for taking the time. I enjoyed myself, and
We did too.
And
Yeah.
you
enjoyed.
hold on, wait a minute. I gotta close out. I gotta close out. No.
We're still on tape here.
I gotta say goodbye to the people.
People are still on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I can't wait to have them back, and they're gonna have to include me in whatever they're doing, so I can be informed, so I can inform you about the Pine Hill Seniors. And again, you know, you can always go back and watch this show in the archives, and you can always find out the website as well as the email address. What's the email address?
PineHillSeniors.com.
No, the
The
email address.
Pine Hill Seniors, at gmail.com.
Okay.
Gmail.com.
All right, and again, we hope to have them back on the show. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Charles Morris. Enjoy the rest of the week, and